Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. This time, home soil. I don't know why I said it that way, but home soil. This episode has in no way sounds like I just made it sound. Just speaking of other sounds, check out everything else we have to offer here at IABD Presents.com. It's All Been Done Radio Hour, among other things. Become a Patreon supporter. Support us so we can do things like this. Home soil on It's All Been Checked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before.
The old team's back. This is Stephen.
And the dishwasher.
Dishwasher is turned off. It should be stopping.
I'm sorry.
But we finally have back
Keith.
and Jimmy-Jerome.
Welcome.
Very excited to have Keith back. You've been out a couple episodes. 3?
Probably, yeah.
At least?
Yeah, 3 episodes. Yeah, right.
You want to give us a few thoughts before we jump into this one?
Well, as usual, when I have those sabbaticals, I think that I enjoy the episodes because I'm just coming back to the show for a bit and catching up on them. Probably more than you do when you're just sort of immersed and kind of going, But as I said, I think earlier off mic, I'm kind of curious to see where you guys ended up ranking some of them at least. I enjoyed them, but that's...
What do you think of Jameson? Your namesake.
Well, I mean... I guess I enjoyed the episode itself for some of the concepts they were putting forth more than the actual performance of the character or the way it was portrayed, from what I hear at least.
There were some performance issues in that episode.
We didn't talk. I listened to The Greatest Generation after we do our podcast.
Yeah.
But they called Jameson's performance the worst guest star thus far, by far.
Really?
Yes.
See, because I thought the other people on the episode were worse. But
They thought Karnas was a very 80s actor.
yes.
And Anne was a very classic Hollywood actress.
Yes, they're
But
not wrong. They're not
Mark
wrong.
Jameson was just over the top ridiculous.
Wow.
And
Well,
awful. And not at all believable.
Wow.
I didn't hate his as much as the others, but I see where they're coming from with the other two. They nailed the other two.
I thought it was kind of... I mean, at least little bits of what the... Anne, was it?
Yes.
What she was
Yeah.
doing was... I found amusing, like the... Oh, you're getting frisky all of a sudden, kind of... what are you doing?
She was good in that scene.
Yeah. I mean, I liked her.
Yeah.
I liked the classic Hollywood. But, yeah.
She was very like Rita Hayworth. No, I'm kidding.
Not quite. In answer to your question, Keith, the Jameson episode ranked 7th out of 16 thus far.
So you hated it. All right.
That's not hate.
I know.
When the bell breaks with the children kidnapped, we ranked 15th out of 16.
That one dropped real fast.
Right above Code of Honor.
The more we talked about it, the more it dropped.
I can... Again, that's another one where... Oh, it was frustrating that they didn't just get right to discussing, why are you sterile? Let's examine that before we jump right to needing kids.
And I feel like when we were just talking about it, I feel like that's an episode the Orville would have done 10 times better now.
Yes.
Because I feel like the Orville definitely has revisited previous concepts. They haven't done them all better, but some of the TNG concepts we're running into, I feel like they've hit and done better.
And I remember
But
talking
it is a very TNG show.
I remember telling Stephen about when the bell breaks when I finished watching it. I'm like, I kind of enjoyed that. And the more we talked about it, the more I'm like, no, this falls apart under scrutiny entirely.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I left the episode itself feeling, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And then thinking about it, but there were those little things like it's just really awkward.
Constant little things.
When you have to rely that heavily on child actors, especially that young, and just the weird kinds of... It just makes you uncomfortable, the relationships with the...
That was uncomfortable.
the
The story itself did not make any sense at all once you started to question it.
And we talked about it, and The Children Shall Lead was my least favorite, I think, still of the original series. This was terrible. And even the episode with Kirk's nephew was one we hated. Operation Annihilate was also a terrible episode.
I will say...
No more kids!
I was talking to Keith about this before you showed up, but the Greatest Gen guys also called it the most racist episode of Star Trek so far, because as they scanned the ship for the children they wanted to steal, we saw minority children, but they only kidnapped white children. And they said those were the best of the best.
That's a very good point.
I pointed that. I mean, the problem... It's...
Keith, speak for all black people for us.
That's kind of the thing. Is just when you have an all-white representation, finding things that they think are racist, kind of reveals their own idea of what racism is. And
sure.
It's not something that hit me. I mean, I rely heavily on what my own gut reactions are when I see things like that. And my thought was it was more a problem that Stephen usually points out is that they have thousands of people and you only see like 7.
We talked about that
in one
too.
house.
Yep. And we talked about they all lived
in the one
all next door to each other.
And it seemed like they were personally picking out children for themselves.
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
not like they were like,
Right. And they looked more like the people that the children looked like who was picking.
Well, yeah,
Somewhat.
and I think, and we talked about how that was the way they were selected. And
Greatest Gen also got into a lot of pedophilia stuff. We just glossed right over.
We touched it. We
we didn't really get
maybe touched isn't a
I
good
was about
verb.
to-
Touched probably isn't a good verb to use there.
So let's stop talking about another podcast. Let's talk about our own podcast. And we're going to talk about Home Soil today, in which the Enterprise encounters a species that is not organic, not carbon-based.
Yes.
And then it murders somebody and they have to figure out how to talk to them. First impressions about Devil in the Dark Part 2.
I think I liked it. I definitely didn't love it. I felt like for a while I kind of liked the detective aspect, and they even say we're detectives now and all that stuff.
Picard got very excited about detectiving.
Yeah, and which
to
made
no
sense.
reaction from anyone else. They just kind of like gave him a flat look
whatever.
like, yes.
But this is at least the 3rd episode where he's gotten excited about detectiving.
And I liked that aspect of it for a while, and then it predictably turned into it's an alien race and it's war now, more this and more that, and I kind of lost interest. And then they got me back at the end. So I think overall I liked it. I took a ton of notes, but I think most of them are just stupid. Some might have some substance, but yeah, I think overall I liked it. It like as you said, it's a Devil in the Dark too. It's a little bit different, and there are some little bit of different messaging. But as far as building this new, it's I guess adding to the old world, they end up with a different approach definitely than Devil in the Dark.
Sure.
And Devil in the Dark was a different. Not all inorganic creatures are alike, obviously.
Was that the Horda?
That was the Horda, yeah. So I'd say overall I like it. We'll delve more into it, and maybe I'll end up hating it. Maybe I'll end up loving it. We'll see.
Similar thoughts, really. It just, I think I like it for the same reasons. There are other little technical aspects of the way they decided to go at proving life that I thought was fun, at least, or interesting, just when they really at least try to get it scientific with it. It's something I would try to follow.
Yeah, I wrote early on, very sciencey episode, and I thought that was cool.
I like that part of it. I think had Devil in the Dark not existed, this episode was a bit more justified.
Yes.
Because Devil in the Dark exists, I was very bothered by, we've never seen a non-carbon-based life form before. Yep. How would we even know to look for one? And it's like, you've been talking to the Horda for 75 years. And you
What, really?
They agreed at the end of that episode to work with them.
Yeah, they were.
And I know it's
good
not
miners.
canon, but in the novels, Horda ends up joining Starfleet.
Oh,
now it is
wow.
a little bit later than this episode, like it's like DS9 era, but still, it's like there is that broad example. I mean, Steve and I were talking about, well, maybe Kirk just didn't keep good records, but Spock would have kept good records. And I feel like the fact that there is one life form they know of that's not carbon-based, everybody would learn about them.
Right.
Strange. So that to me, like, destroys a lot of the setup of this episode.
Well, it's one of those things where we constantly talk about, and in the last couple episodes they did a good job with it. We constantly talk about they should have their own history in that area. It should be like, oh, this is like this. Could this be like the Horda of Deneb 5? No. Maybe Deneb 5. I think it might be Deneb 5. Is that the definition of inorganic, not carbon-based?
I guess. I mean, technically.
This species, like the Horda, was silicon-based. So it was even the same.
It's either carbon or silicon.
It was even the same type of thing. Deneb 5 is a planet warp-capable species from the episode I'm Mud.
Ah!
I agree.
4?
I agree.
No, that's Dagger of the Mind.
I both agree and disagree.
Horda was from Janus 6.
Janus 6.
You agree and disagree, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, I felt... My first reaction was I thought maybe you're being a little too harsh on them. But, I mean, it's true that they had the potential to know that these things could exist, but if they haven't found anything in 75 years that was like that, I mean,
But again, I feel like that's such a spectacular, interesting, different thing that everybody would study that.
They didn't find them and said they'd killed them on accident.
My point is that's still very rare. One thing in all the universe that happened to be like that.
Fair.
Sure.
People would expect that to come up every day, so they kind of gloss over things after 70 years of not finding anything else.
I would agree with that if the point of Starfleet wasn't exploration and seeking out new life forms. I excuse the terraformers from not knowing. I don't excuse the Enterprise senior staff from not knowing.
What? I mean, no. Right, before we get to that, we need to go through the timeline of what happened here. So you have some scientific crew went down there at some point. Mm-hmm. Who knows how much of a rush they were in, how ethical they were themselves when they were exploring. And just sort of like...
They were getting a kickback from the industry, the terraforming industry, and needed to hurry along.
Or maybe they were looking at the wrong part of the planet or any number of other things and assumed, no, this is not close enough.
It took Starfleet's Corps of Engineers 18 months to carve this out.
So, I mean...
It was also Wrath of Khan, too.
Yeah.
They probably did their basic scans of, there's no organic life here, it's fine, go. And they come down there, they're not looking for anything. It's like, sparkling, that's weird. And they move on, and so it's just... So the senior staff gets down there. They've been told... through multiple other rows of other people there before them that nothing is there, so they're not looking for it either. So
that's fair.
Yeah, even I think there was a little bit of a red herring when you had the director and the other scientist kind of looking at each other, and it's like, let's send this guy into that room. You think, okay, they must have programmed the laser to do that, and that's probably what Picard was looking at too, expecting that they were sabotaging it. So.
Yeah, I just think it took them too long after they beamed up that thing to understand it was life.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I get your point that that's not the first thing your mind's going to go to when you hear hoofbeats think horses, not zebras. But I do think it took them too long to get to that conclusion, and they denied it too vehemently. Like, at least one of them should have said, hey, it's silicon-based. Could it be like the Horta? Let's talk about that. I don't know.
I see what you're saying, though, that it seemed like they were being a little overly cautious, but then that was, I guess, the sciencey part of it. They don't jump to conclusions, but it seemed pretty... Yeah.
At least the Horta wasn't a snob. These Valerans were snobs.
That's true.
If they're so friggin' advanced, why didn't they contact them and say, hey, don't kill us? Why didn't they find a way to do it? At the end, they're like, no, you come back in 300 years. What? Who do you think you are, buddy?
Well, then you're getting into, again, the trope of the advanced species that
started me back down.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
That was like one of my later notes, is that I liked that they managed to straddle that line of they're not too tribal and primitive, they're not too godlike and advanced. It's just, this is something that is different. This is so far different from like the way that we live that it's kind of like a...
This makes me think...
We can't judge by our own standards how advanced they are, the way they are.
Right. And probably neither can they.
Right.
Though.
Exactly. So they're also wrong.
Some Light is calling us arrogant. Where do you come off, Light?
Yeah.
But it just made me think, now that we're talking about their advanced race, at the end of Squire Gothos, it's just 3 giant versions of what we saw in this, which are little. Yeah.
Huh.
So...
God, what was Squire Gothos?
Trelane. The Q. Well, we're not sure he's
But when his parents or whatever show up at the end, they're just big giant lights.
They're
giant could have been Qs.
Yes.
They could have been.
Because and it makes sense because they're calling us arrogant. Saying come back in 300 years.
Well, you noticed the insult fight where they called the humans ugly bags of mostly water. But then Picard and Data and everybody else...
Title of my sex tape.
Touche. But then Picard and Data and everybody else for the rest of the episode kept calling them microbrains.
Right.
I'm like, that's your firing back. That's like double on you to part of your experience. Let's jump back to the beginning of the episode. Let's get through this a little more systematically. The first shot of Geordi and Data in front of the view screen was a very narrow shot, and to me it didn't really feel like it fit the where they would have been in relation to one another on the whole bridge. I don't know if it was a weird camera narrowing or something, but that shot felt off to me.
It was... Well, and right off the bat, there's the weird thing of Riker and Troy standing there awkwardly in the middle of the bridge. Not casually at all.
There were
just standing there.
We noticed that more like right before the cold open. I guess they had that funnel effect, everyone having to be in that narrow space of the
when whoever directed this was just like, here's my idea.
We got to all be right here so we can just...
So then, because Riker almost walked right into the camera, and I thought they were just going to go right into the title sequence, but they had to other more people cross it.
So it was directed by Corey Allen, who is known... he directs 5 episodes of Next Generation. This is his second. He directed Encounter at Farpoint.
Oh, okay.
Which had some interesting direction. He'll also direct 4 episodes of Deep Space Nine. He's known primarily as an actor, though. He was in Rebel Without a Cause, Hill Street Blues.
What's his name?
Oh, sorry, Hill Street Blues he was a director. But he was an actor in Rebel Without a Cause. He played Buzz Gunderson in that movie.
Yeah, the research facility felt very old, TOS.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but they even had some of the TOS-style jumpsuits on the engineers.
Yeah.
Engineering.
Yeah.
Fashion. Fashion.
Did it look like the director, that little V split, was that like the belt breaking?
I don't know what was going on there.
It felt like it was like his gut kind of went.
Yeah.
Had to.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
My main fashion is Bjorn's mullet. It was a true mullet. It was 80. Wait, we're in 87.
Yeah.
So that was.
Of course, that was accepted.
Golden era, a golden age. It's definitely where I was from, New Carlisle. In fact, it hasn't gone out of style there. I don't know. And then it's only matched by the engineering lady's mullet.
Yes.
It wasn't exactly a mullet, but it was severe, and it was not good.
The designer?
One who's like, Captain, we got a problem down here. No, not her. One of the Enterprise.
Oh, right, yeah.
The female engineer, played by Carolyn Berry.
That's her.
She was an ensign, and I was like, who the heck is she, and where's the chief engineer right now?
Right.
We're still in between. Argyle had his 2 episodes, and there is another one coming up in another... We've got 2 more chief engineers to get through this season. Both of them doing 1 episode piece. But, yeah, I don't know who this random woman was. Carolyn... Barry has 22 acting credits, so not very many. But she voiced a Metron in the episode Arena.
To me, she looked
in
like...
the original series.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. All right.
Which, she must have been really young when she did that. She was
Yeah.
born in 1943, so she was
Okay.
25-ish when she voiced the Metron.
So, all right. Yeah, 45 here. That makes sense. 44.
Yeah.
She didn't look that old there, and she reminded me... I thought she was... the next Doctor, oddly. Looked like...
Diana
what's her name?
Muldaur. Or...
The one who plays his Crusher for a bit.
Pulaski.
Yes,
Diana Muldaur.
Pulaski.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get her in season 2.
Yep.
Which reminds me, I was also confused for the 10011 episode.
Yeah.
I actually thought Minuet might have been Kathleen Mulgrew for a second. Or Kate Mulgrew, yeah.
She was not, but I guess...
I know,
I was like,
wait a minute.
I also thought not Minuet was Brenda Strong, who was in the When the Bow Breaks episode. And of course from Seinfeld. Speaking of Seinfeld,
And Desperate.
the Seinfeld moment in tonight's episode. So the Enterprise shows up, like, hey, we're here to see you. And they're like, we're kind of busy. No, it's okay. We're supposed to do it. No, we're really busy. Okay. So really, the Enterprise is doing the pop-in.
Sure.
They're doing the pop-in.
Yeah.
We're in the area. We thought we'd pop in. You don't do a pop-in on the planet. But then Picard is Costanza because he's like, they told us to leave. We're coming in, baby.
Well, see, to me, I was like, well, the original series found shady stuff going on so often. Now they probably have them do pop-ins on purpose.
You're right.
On purpose.
You're right.
My first note was it was kind of funny at the beginning. It made me notice how the crew and us as the audience took for granted the way they communicate. So, they hail them on the comms. They give them like maybe 5 seconds before they start thinking something's wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, how many people should be sitting right near a communication station when they're got like 3 people down there or 4 doing experiments?
Right.
How could they? Like, what's going on down there? Let's Are they must be ignoring us.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
It's like immediately.
You're right. Yeah, because in my mind, they're like, well, we're trying to get a hold of millions of people. But, maybe they should have called them earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
It's also...
Maybe the rates are more expensive. Yeah, to that end, was pretty much telegraphed that whatever, he's dead now. Was it pretty much telegraphed he was going to die?
Malankon.
Yeah.
I didn't get that, but...
I was like, he's a dead man walking.
Arthur Malankon, played by Mario Ricuzzo, best known for The Majestic, the 2001 film, with Jim Carrey. He was in Life Goes On. He was in the HBO series Luck. He's got 90 credits. Luck was his last credit. He's still alive, apparently. But he did 4 episodes of Luck. Anyway.
Well, it felt like when they were calling him out to go do something, I was like, let's get him away from the crew so we'll stop before he gives something away.
Right.
And why don't you go do this thing over there in that room? Like maybe they were sending him off to his death or something, or at least trying to get rid of him. But that was a red herring, as it turned out, sort of. But it's still all right. So, like my note way at the end, because I was confused back at the beginning. what did the director really know about what was going on then? Troy was calling him out for seeming panicked.
That's what I can't...
What was he panicked about?
Yeah. I feel like I missed that. What actually he was...
So he insists, and I think we have to take him at face value because people in the 24th century, if they lie at all, it's badly and Troy catches them. I think he said he knew there was something weird going on. He just hadn't connected it his life. So I think he just wanted to deal with whatever was weird, and I think he was concerned about his project being interfered with.
I see what you're saying.
But he didn't think he was killing
that
something.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of what you just said about Troy, at the point where she's like, I can tell he's lying, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Troy would be the best attorney ever. Like, he's lying.
That's not admissible.
Well, no, but then she could press further on.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
she would know rather than
She would know what
guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The director, Kurt Mandel, was played by Walter Gotell, who is best known for A
I know
View
him
to
from
Kill, The Spy Who Loved Me, Octopussy, Moonraker.
I was going to say,
all
yeah.
four
he's
of those
always
he played
been...
General Gogol
Yes. Yes.
in James Bond movies.
Okay, that makes sense.
A bunch of James Bond movies.
Yes.
At least 4. I'm calling that a bunch.
I know he looks super familiar.
Yeah. That's what he's named for, is James Bond films. Real quick, while we're on guest stars, let's go ahead and cover the other two.
Yeah.
We had Louisa Kim, played by Elizabeth Lindsay, who is best known for this role.
So
Really?
The designer woman then.
Yes.
You know, I thought she was terrible, except for the parts where she had to be emotional, where I thought she was great. So
Okay.
whenever she responded emotionally, I'm
I
like,
agree.
she is awesome. The rest of the time, she was super wooden.
That's my note was that the designer's voice sounds rather robotic when she's doing the
Yeah.
tour. So
Yeah.
I thought that was going to lead to something like the way she was just like walking around doing the thing.
Right. And I give it to her on that, like, oh, I'm just being a tour guide. But then she was that way the rest of the time when she talked about it, except for when she was crying on the ship and when she got concerned about Melancon, whatever. Melancon. So,
Melancholia.
yeah. All of a sudden, I'm just criticizing acting left and right all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt that way about her.
I kept expecting there to be a reason why she was doing it that way. Maybe it really is just, not everybody in real life would sound great if they were doing that too. So
I also thought that, because I thought maybe after Data had his battle with the laser drill, I thought, oh, maybe it's some spirit taking over people. Mm-hmm. And so I thought maybe she was under control of something else, but that wasn't true for either of them.
Did you ever wonder when Data was walking out of that room if he'd been now taken over?
Yes, that's what I thought.
Me too.
I did. That's what
I'm
I thought.
so glad it wasn't one of those.
I am too. Because I would hate that even more than some of the things I hate.
Well, and the hint, like, oh, something took over the laser drill. It's a computer-based thing. Taking over Data makes total sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm glad they did that.
I did have the note, poor laser drill. Because they're like, do you know how much this costs? And then they're all very sad about
well,
a year's work down the drain. Poor laser drill.
So the year's work I bumped on because I'm like, really? It took them a whole year to build this?
Right.
They don't like manufacture them. They can't order them on Amazon.
Right. Like, were they talking about the laser drill took a year to put together?
Yes.
Or okay, that's what I thought.
That's what I assumed.
If they're like
I
all the
thought
work
so
the laser
too.
drill did
Maybe.
by randomly shooting lasers down.
Well, then that wouldn't have been erased by destroying the drill.
No, it didn't make sense. The other guy who played Bjorn Benson,
Gerard Prendergast.
yeah, he was in. I knew him right away. I had to look it up right away. He was in Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks.
So that's what he's best known for?
One of them went on to win a couple Oscars. The other one went on to play Bjorn Benson.
He only has like 34 acting credits. This is what he's third best known for.
Yeah.
Bachelor Party being first. So yeah,
What's
he's
second? Is it another?
Making It.
Oh, that's another. That's another. That's the TV show. Making It. I think so with David Naughton. That show, to go on a tangent, came about because I'm trying to think which came first. It was either the song or the show. I think the song inspired the show. Anyway, it was a Saturday Night Fever knockoff. In fact, it had Ellen Travolta in it.
He did 9 episodes of the TV series, miniseries. It was a miniseries.
Oh, okay.
He played Bernard Fusco in 9 episodes.
Yeah,
See
because
that?
it didn't last
I
long.
didn't.
It was it was one of those highly hyped fall shows, and then it didn't last long.
Are you?
I think.
Do you know that it was supposed to be a show and not just a miniseries? Because
I
now,
thought it was supposed to be a show.
okay. Because now, if they air 9 episodes of something, they'll like call it a miniseries and they cancel it, but they mean it to be a show.
Nowadays, the cable channels are smart enough to just call them television events,
Yeah.
just in case.
And then if it's successful, they'll do a second television event.
They thought that was going to be a huge hit, jumping off of Saturday Night Fever, and
yeah.
it was not. I think Scott Baio was on. So we have that show to blame for Scott Baio, possibly. Or no, or maybe Happy Days.
Happy Days.
His jump off.
You guys made me think something back there with Data walking, the way that they had him pause and walk out of the room like that. Makes you think that maybe he was taken over, which would have, on the other hand, since he wasn't taken over, it seems like just a little bit too much of a contrivance of that. Like he couldn't have responded to them in any way until that moment when he walked out of the smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything about that laser room made no sense to me. So the fact that they didn't just beam the guy out, the door was jammed, they had to get in there, they couldn't beam him. But then they opened the door and they could beam him out just fine. And then Data, same thing, and then Picard's like, oh, we'll just beam him out of there. And I'm like, then why didn't you do it in the first place? Why are you waiting? And then when they do beam the guy out, the Malankon, that gets all burned up, and those are some serious burns by the laser drill. That was some good damage makeup compared to other TNG. But then Yar beamed with him. So there's a danger where our people are threatened, but let's send the security chief back with the guy that's injured instead of leaving her to guard the crew people.
Oh, right.
I don't know. I thought everything about that room sucked.
It seems like maybe they had, the way they usually call for the beam ups, it seems like they have to have a reference point of the personnel to be with them to say, lock onto me and get something.
Find the life form in that room. I don't know.
How do they describe where that room is?
Lock onto my comm badge 20 feet in front of me. Is there a life form?
The organic life form.
It's not hard.
The organic life
form. The organic life form. Well, at that point, they didn't know any better, so.
And the computer would have been like, what are you talking about? There's nothing in there. It's not a life form. They kind of had to keep sort of arguing with it. Like, okay, they had to sort of say, bear with me. Now, imagine if this could be, okay, then it's life. It was like,
will you just beam it up? You know what? Fine. I'm just gonna walk over there, beam us up, beam 2 up. Speaking of the computer, do we like the TOS computer voice better, and they're both Majel Barrett?
Sure.
Do we like the TOS version better or the next generation?
To be honest, the next gen is the definitive version in my head because that's what I heard the most growing up.
That makes sense.
So to me, I like the TNG version.
I think the TNG version is better. Nostalgia is the only reason I would pick the original. And the original is definitely more like, well, this is what computers would have to sound like if they talked to us. Where not much later, everyone's like, oh no, this is what computers would sound like, especially on a ship with a bunch of men.
I mean, we all know computers are just going to sound like Scarlett Johansson.
Yes. Mine is.
I still haven't watched that yet.
You should.
I haven't either, but...
You should. Absolutely, you should.
But the point is, computers shouldn't have to sound like that. For the whole monotone. Yeah.
We are Daleks. Wrong franchise.
Yeah, I mean, really, Siri is just advanced Majel Barrett.
I mean, there's a great scripted podcast right now I'm going to plug that I have nothing to do with called Voyage to the Stars.
Oh, yeah.
That stars Felicia Day, Janet Varney, Colton Dunn.
Yep.
And Janet Varney is artificial intelligence, and she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But she sounds like a person.
Yeah.
Just doesn't act like a person. She has that Janet quality from The Good Place, not a girl.
Love it.
That kind of thing. I love Janet Varney. I'm a fan.
Me too.
She's awesome.
And not just because by the time you hear this, she may have already guest starred in Radio Hour.
You were talking about a shot of Geordi and Data, Keith, right at the top. When they're looking into the, for lack of a better term, the hole.
Oh, wait.
After they get over the laser and they're looking down there, they see the light blinking. Yeah. I love the tight shot of the two of them. It didn't really have anything to do with what they were doing in the episode. It was just a great composition. So credit again to the director.
Well, it made more sense there, certainly.
Yeah, but I just thought, just aesthetically, it was a really interesting shot. In the middle of a syndicated TV show.
So I don't know if I realized this before, and I wrote this in as a question. About Data, they pointed out that he was the third in command.
Yes.
I didn't realize that. I mean, was it?
They mentioned it before in the series.
From the beginning of the series, would that have? So nothing didn't get promoted or something.
No, they established that pretty early on in the series.
So they say to Riker, well, maybe you can get a little more information out of the the female engineer from the planet.
I bumped on that too, and it's Troy that sends him.
Yeah.
I feel like that's some type of kinky game they got going on between the two of them.
Is it possible she sensed that the female engineer liked Riker and vice versa?
I think so.
I'm sure it's possible. I mean, but I like to think Troy just pimps him out when needed, and he enjoys that.
So Riker goes,
and
she's crying.
Right, and once again the door was not locked, but he was very courteous to knock. But then he gets right in her personal space.
Sure.
And then she's crying, and he's just like, anyway, how's it going? And he doesn't really shift. He doesn't shift into another gear. He's just like, well, it's a shame you're crying, but anyway,
Yeah,
you want to get a nightcap?
I feel like Troy and Riker
It wasn't
both.
that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it felt that bad.
So there were 2 moments each for Troy and Riker where I felt they were doing the kinky sexual thing, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
When Troy pimps him out. But then for Troy, when she has her thing for lights about how beautiful they are, and then for Riker, as early in the episode, as soon as they're like trying to talk to the people on the planet, he's like, "You got to use the holodeck. We got a great holodeck. You got to use the holodeck," which we all know he uses for porn. So
Quote, use the holodeck.
I don't know. I feel like Riker and Troy in this episode were super charged up.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed they had a nice, quick little subtle shot when they were down on the in the lab getting the tour. Troy sort of had just sort of gave a glance when they're kind of pointing out her noticing some mutual attraction between Riker and the designer Kim. Yeah, she a little like
So there was a lot of stuff about terraforming here I want to talk about, because of course the first thing that comes to mind is Genesis.
Sure.
Wrath of Khan and everything. And this, in Genesis, like, they were terraforming, like, super quick because of what David Marcus did to the formula. And this one, we're supposed to take, like, 30, 40 years.
Right.
By the charts. So it feels like, we know Genesis was super dangerous, and they probably had to, like, put development on hold for a while. So it feels like here, it's like, it's been revived, but in a very careful, very controlled manner.
Yeah.
And to me, that all feels very natural in the evolution of the franchise we know. Plus, Bjorn kind of reminded me of David Marcus crossed with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, definitely. Is the idea that we never found a better template than Earth? Is that why they call it terraforming? Or does terra just mean ground? Terra means Earth, right?
I think
believe it
so.
means
I mean, for the
And
most
then
part.
terra firma is ground, right?
Because the alien, the non-Earthlings refer to Earth as Terra sometimes. So
Okay.
I would think.
So I mean, why couldn't they go to a lot of M planets? But God knows TOS, they went to a ton of M planets.
But they still have some of the same rules of Genesis of, like, there can't be life there. That was a Genesis rule.
Right.
And also,
And that makes sense.
and I understand that they were not counting on you having seen Wrath of Khan and knowing about terraforming.
Right.
But there was so much exposition about terraforming.
Oh yeah. Well, right.
So much.
I've always wanted to check it out.
I did like the cool planet model, though, in the research facility where they showed.
I did like some of the actual. That was part of the sciencey stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's the thing, and there's saline, and then the saline came back to be an important thing. I thought that was cool. Is terraforming gentrification?
In a sense, no, I don't know. Well,
I guess if you do it wrong and there is life there, and
Yes.
you're like they were doing it.
Right.
If there's life there, it could be gentrification. If there's no life there, I wouldn't think gentrification would apply.
usually it's more like extermination at that point.
If there's life
Yes.
there. Yeah.
This isn't an invasion.
This is more like when Hitler wiped out the... No, I'm kidding. No. Never mind.
But anyway,
Well-
this goes back to what.
Are there bad neighborhood planets?
I'm sure there are. You don't want to be
Then
too close to the neutral zone.
Well, I think this goes back to Stephen's initial question, and the terminology terraforming was that originated in Wrath of Khan,
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good question.
or I guess Search for Spock.
Of course, Genesis itself is a term from
Yeah.
Earth.
The concept of terraforming was developed from both science fiction and actual science. It was coined by Jack Williamson in the science fiction short story Collision Orbit in 1942, published in Astounding Science
Okay.
Fiction. But the concept may predate that work.
Interesting.
You mentioned bad neighborhoods. I will say, just put it out there.
Mars.
DS9 and Voyager, we're going to get the Maquis, which are colonists have seeded different worlds, and in different treaties the Federation makes, they then transfer control of some of those worlds to a different alien power.
Okay.
And they ask the colonists to come back to the Federation, and the colonists are upset because they built their homes there,
Oh,
and they
okay.
get into all the politics of that kind of
Alright.
thing.
Okay.
So that stuff is coming.
So space gentrification is what I probably called
Right.
it.
I mean, I feel like that's like
Oh,
really
that
interesting.
actually would be Jennifer. That yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it also calls to mind like the Palestinians and the Jews and the West Bank, whatever, and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
but they'd have such cool restaurants to go to. Man. And
So-
so got that feel to it, you know?
We'll get
Oh,
into the
God.
politics. Actually, the Maquis are introduced late in Next Gen before DS9 and Voyager, so we'll get into the Maquis.
I didn't realize
Because
that.
we have Ro Lauren and Thomas Riker. We'll get to it.
Yeah. Just wondering how you knew so much about the other background of that.
The Maquis?
Yeah, because
I mean, they're a key component of Voyager. Several of the main characters are
Well, I know that, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's where I first heard them. I never really got into...
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember them getting into, like, why they were...
Yeah, the Cardassians.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, the Cardassians, that's part of the political stuff with them. I do want to know, and this goes back to one of our earliest conversations on this episode about how do they not know about the Horta, because it's like so unique.
Right.
How does Bjorn not know about Data? You're an android? What are you? Who are you? Like, he should be famous. There's no other android out there like that.
Well, they're really into their terraforming out there. They're really got their head down.
I don't know. Well, if he's that interested in artificial intelligence, he seems to be. He would know who Data is.
Really? Yeah. I mean, is he...
I've read all
Just
the
like if you're interested in exploring new life, you're going to know about the Horta.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's not... It's like saying, I'm really interested in pop music. Oh, have you heard of Taylor Swift? No, who's that? You know, it just does not make sense.
Unless you're older or something. I mean, there's
Okay, I'm really interested in pop music from 2005 to 2015. Who's Taylor Swift? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the thing you're super interested in, you don't know about the most famous thing in that.
By the way, Taylor, I'd love to have you on the podcast.
I don't know. That's my complaint about it. And that ruined a lot of this episode for me because I was still obsessed with, how do you not know who the Horta are?
It's valid, but I just there's still something in me that does the devil's advocate thing. I keep going, well, maybe but...
And that's why it's good I don't do this podcast by myself. It's good to hear that
That's very true.
Because, I mean, how famous is Data really? How much would they really point out we have this android in a ship?
And I guess that's one of the things we talk about is with Kirk and Spock, everywhere they went, somebody knew them. We've heard of Spock's Ray. They're like, we have to get this guy.
Well, it's season 3 then. I mean,
I know, that too, but...
Which is funny, because back then, people really didn't know. Where in Next Gen, now the universe is so much more connected.
Right.
They should know more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they were, exactly, yeah.
So it was a problem in both series.
Yes, for different reasons. One of the reasons they might have called them arrogant is Picard says, Life Force, do you understand? First of all, my name's not Life Force. Second of all, yeah, I understand.
My name's Steve. I got a name.
Would they have a name? They were just born. There's a couple of them.
They never really...
Well, the one's name was 10 and the other one's name was 0.
Oh, God. That, wait, though.
Speaking of advanced races.
Okay, so were the scientists officially Starfleet?
No.
Okay, I mean, that's another...
They're a federation, they weren't Starfleet.
If they weren't going through the same education programs of...
That's why
they wouldn't necessarily know... life forms or Data or lots of other things that were connected with just Starfleet.
Yeah, so I'm excusing the scientists for not knowing about the Horta. I'm not excusing the Starfleet officers for not knowing about the Horta.
I would say,
and as far as Data, it's like that guy seems super interested in androids, so he should know who the android is.
To your point, if you're terraforming, and one of the key tenets is you can't destroy the life, I feel like there's got to be a chapter in that book on... It's like, how will I know? I'm destroying other life forms.
But they pointed out...
Well, they'll be walking around on 2 or 4 legs.
But
and carbon-based.
But Mandel pointed out he didn't look for that because they had other teams clear it before he got there. So this
Starfleet
team
Corps
wasn't
of Engineers,
looking for
those idiots, they never know what they're doing. It took them 18 months to dig that out. What she did in a couple of days.
And as I pointed out at the beginning, Starfleet's organizations are all corporations. They're just all made of thousands of millions of people who different sets of competency or care or ethics. And they're just like, whatever, stamp,
See, now I say that again, but Starfleet is made up of several different corporations with many different people. With many different functions.
Oh, God.
These are terraformers.
So, my alternate episode while we're talking about it is the engineers are arguing with the Starfleet officers about how they don't know what silicon life is and everything has to be organic, and then the camera pans out and there's a Horta in a jumpsuit sitting there like, really, guys? Really?
Jumpsuit. With an
and he's voiced by Norm Macdonald. Just gotta get that.
Yeah, you got it. You touched on this, but when Troy says you are beautiful to us, all I can think of was James Blunt. You're beautiful in every single way.
The Orville would have played that song behind the statement.
They would have. It would have been great. Sung by Norm Macdonald.
Another issue I had with Troy, early in the episode, they're talking to Mandel. Mandel's all upset, and instead of like waiting until they get off the air, when normally she waits till she can get Picard
Right.
alone, now she's just leaning over to him. Everything's still open. She's
Right.
like, hey, hopefully he doesn't hear me, but he's hiding something. And it happens like multiple times in that scene. Like she's just talking
It
loudly.
said channel closed before one of them. Like,
Before
Yeah,
one
she
of
did.
them, not before all of them. It's like Yar at some point was like, oh crap, he's listening. I better turn it off.
They say, she's like, can you close the channel? They close the channel. Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Nothing. You talking about me? No. Then why'd you close the channel?
We were just talking about what to have for dinner.
There was something funny happened in the holodeck.
we're just talking about what terraforming is. Just need to explain that.
Oh my god.
I like the...
My other alternate episode is they beam down and there's a female scientist. She's like, hi, my name's Tara. Terraform.
No.
That's an episode of Quark.
Now you got it.
Or James Bond.
Yeah, Delve in the Dark is my alternate episode as well. I like there are several shots of Picard staring down the lights when it's on the V screen.
Yeah.
It's real close, but it falls a little short of Kirk and Khan staring each other down around the con.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right.
no.
right.
Do you like at the end when they're talking to the life form on the view screen, how everybody in the bridge gets to step up and talk to them? Picard
Yeah.
and Riker, Troy
Yeah.
and Crusher. Like, there's no chain of command. There's nobody taking the lead.
Hey, I'm here too.
Everybody's just gonna weigh in if they feel like it.
Hey, Lifeform. Hey, do you like going to? Do you like car races? How do you feel about long walks? Are you all the same? I also wrote, the Lifeform is really, it's a mini Fortress of Solitude, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Like the bigger it got, eventually
Yeah.
Superman will live
Yeah,
inside
that's true.
one or several of those organisms or whatever they were.
So last thing I have is about that actually. I just noted that I liked the way that the translator was being portrayed, how that worked. The idea of it sort of breaking down the concepts of what they're... So, they didn't bother making it seem like a complete coherent English sentence.
So that touches on a thing that bothered me about this episode is, again, I think they should have caught on earlier that it could have been life. And I wanted Crusher in that initial scene to be like, hey, computer, try running those blue lights through the universal translator and see if it's a language.
And it's also interesting, you guys are both forgetting about one that I mentioned, the Lights of Zatar. Come on, people.
What was that
of
episode
Zatar.
about again?
Zatar.
It's about the Lights of Zatar. And Scotty was very creepy with an ensign and was definitely violating a lot of Starfleet regulations.
I don't remember exactly. I mean,
And
I
then-
gave her my sextant. No. not
And then
the
it's
sextant.
10 minutes, they put her in the oxygen-free, not the oxygen, the gravity-free chamber, and they drive them out. And Scotty's leering at her the entire time.
That was the one written by Sherry Lewis.
Yes.
So-
Not a very good episode.
what were the lights doing? I really don't remember how
I
that
don't-
worked.
They wanted to take over the ensign that Scotty was sweet on, and then I think take over the Enterprise and get to wherever
Lieutenant
they
Mira Romaine.
That's her.
She's in trouble right now because she's got salmonella and she's poisoning everybody.
Is that going on again? Stay away from that
Oh,
one.
Scotty! Right, I kept thinking every time you said that, I kept thinking Bones in my head for some
Oh,
reason.
no, not at
Yeah,
all.
that was that rare. They started off with the beginning of the episode with him romantically involved with
Yes.
this woman, or at least like paying a lot of attention.
And
to
everyone
each other
else talking about him while
Yes.
he's right over there.
Yes.
Yeah. Looks like
And
he
she
got
was like,
Scotty's
me
love.
too, Scotty, me too.
I can't remember when this was said or who said it. I thought maybe the life form said it, but they said they want to go home to wet sand. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
that's
my
the way-
sex tape.
Well, and now I can think of his 40-year-old virgin because I just saw it. And when he's talking, they're talking about, well, what was it like? It's like a bag of, like 2 bags of wet sand.
All right, but yeah.
My favorite line or maybe least favorite line, I can't decide, was the...
From this episode, not
from this
from 40-year-old
episode,
version.
right? Was like, I make life, I don't take it. And I can't decide if I really like that line or really hate that line in the way it was
Who
delivered.
said it?
I don't remember. It was either Mandel or Kim.
It's right up there with, I don't make trash, I burn it. A classic junior high retort.
Oh wow.
My last note is just a random observation. When Picard's down at sickbay and they need more energy to contain the life form, he calls up to the bridge and he's like, hey, I'm requesting that you divert emergency power. And Riker's like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and give it to you. And it's like, wait. Is Riker captain in this episode?
Right.
Is Picard the first
Oh,
officer?
yeah.
It was very weird.
I wrote down Mandel drives it home. We're at the end where he's like, all this time I think he's talking about, all this time we were trying to bring life. but instead we were destroying it. It's like, yeah, we know, we got it, but thanks for bringing it home at the very end, just in case we missed it.
We thought your terraforming was to murder people.
My other note is something I mentioned while we were watching it, which is as soon as the lights started threatening the ship and taking over all the power and everything, I was like, time to blow up the ship, time to self-destruct it.
Yeah, that was...
They didn't even think about it.
No.
Come on. It's Starship Captaining 101. Anytime at the slightest hint that your ship's getting taken over, blow it up by yourself.
Uh-huh.
That's all I got.
Keith, any other notes?
That was it.
Okay, let's get to ranking them. How annoying was Wesley in this episode? Scale of 1 to 10.
I have him very high just because his first line of, I don't know what it is, but it's beautiful.
I don't even remember him
yeah.
in this one.
Oh, he was in it.
Yeah.
I disliked that line. I
Yeah.
thought it was fine the rest of the episode, so I would put him at a 2.
I gave him a 6 for that line.
I'm at a 2 because I honestly I don't even remember him.
If you don't remember him, would it
Maybe
be a
a
1?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So, whose is Wes your annoyance of this episode?
No, I think it's Mandel.
Mandel?
Yeah. Or Mandel. The fact that we can't settle on one pronunciation of his name makes him even more annoying.
Mandel. No,
Mandel?
It's Mandl.
Oh, okay. Mandel.
Mandel, I guess. I'm going to say all the Starfleet off, just all the ignorant people in this episode. There were so many ignorant people. It was really bothering me that they didn't know who the Horta were, and the guy didn't know who.
Horta ignorance isn't a crime.
And the guy didn't know who Data was. It was bothering me a lot. So much ignorance. Those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it. Keith, who's your annoyance?
Especially people with alliterative names like Bjorn Benson.
You
look Swedish.
Probably gonna be Mandel, I guess.
Mandel?
It's just it didn't line up with a lot. Yeah, the whole red herringness of it just.
Men, women of Star Trek. Steven, you're still on Brenda Strong.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be strong. I'm gonna be amazed if somebody knocks her down.
I was on Ann Jameson. I like Louisa Kim. I'm going to take Louisa Kim. Why not?
She's strong.
And Keith, you were on Beata from Angel 1, which we were all on Beata.
Do not recall at all.
Anybody in this episode or the last 3 that just does it for you?
Kim, I suppose.
You can go with Louisa Kim?
Was Angel 1 the planet run by women?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Beata was the leader?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think anybody in 11001-001 Too Short a Season or When the Bow Breaks replaces Beata at least temporarily for you, or are you Beata this whole time? Until now?
There had been something going on in the
Well, the 11001-001 Minuet
Yeah.
and not Minuet and all of
and
those.
the other pre-minuets.
You're right.
It was just that whole thing was so uncomfortable. I felt so bad for Riker, or rather, the actor playing Riker in that scene, having to just do that kind of, I'm really into this. Yeah, this is great. How about something more, the more intimate, and then getting.
Do you think that's why Jonathan Frakes hasn't acted since?
I think he did other episodes after that one.
Well, I mean, since Riker was... After Riker, I could be wrong. I should double check that before I make that claim. But I feel like he just directs these days, which a lot of the Star Trek actors nowadays...
Well, I think Star Trek
direct.
just has that effect on most people's careers.
I think you're right.
They get pigeonholed.
Yeah, it just absorbs them.
Yeah.
Not everybody. I mean, we've certainly seen some people go beyond. Shatner definitely had a career beyond Kirk, eventually.
He did, eventually.
It takes
once he embraced it.
so much effort.
But, like, Jerry Ryan's had a career after Voyager.
Well, yeah.
But, yeah, you're right. Brent Spiner's arguably had... Well, sort of. Yeah.
That's a shame. I mean, I think he really would deserve to.
So I'm looking at Jonathan Frakes' filmography, and obviously he's credited for Star Trek Picard.
What's he best known for?
Star Trek First Contact, followed by Star Trek Insurrection, followed by Star Trek Generations, followed by Star Trek Nemesis.
Funny.
So Next Generation doesn't even make the top 4. It's just the 4 movies.
All right. Well, so he did go on.
IMDb favors movies over television,
Yes.
I've noticed,
Makes
which bothers me a lot.
And also recency.
He's done some voices. He did Voices in the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon, and a TV series called Future Worm.
Which character in Guardians of the Galaxy?
The cartoon?
Yeah.
Jason.
Oh, okay. Like
And
that.
also J. Jonah Jason.
That's funny.
He did an episode of Angie Tribeca.
Oh.
That would be live action, I guess.
Yeah.
He's done a couple of episodes of a couple random things. So I guess he still acts sometimes.
I think I saw the Angie Trebek episode.
I don't think I did. But
I haven't seen the last 2 seasons.
So yeah, he's got a few acting credits. He doesn't just direct, but he mostly directs these days. Ranking the episode, we still need to do that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The hard part.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm inclined to start it near the bottom, but I think you guys liked it more than I did.
Middle to...
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I mean...
So, right now we've got an even number of episodes, so the first one in the bottom half would be 1100101. Second number 9 right now.
Yeah.
There are several sciencey things you almost talked me out of liking. You being Jimmy. As we were going through it. So, yeah, I'm certainly okay with it being toward the bottom half.
What's below that?
Data lore.
Ooh. All right. Yeah.
Below that, where no one has gone before.
Oh. Okay. Well.
Below
All
that,
right, it's
hiding Q.
Oh.
I liked hiding Q better, but... Well,
Which one was hiding Q?
That was the second Q episode, where he gave Riker Q powers.
Okay.
I think for me, I think we're hitting that.
The threshold.
Right below that, just for reference, is Lonely Among Us.
I'd put it above that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with going above Lonely Among Us. Keith, I know Stephen would like it above Hiding Q. I would like it below, so we'll let Keith decide.
Man, I'm partial to Q stuff, unfortunately, so...
I won't be angry if it's below that.
Yeah.
So we'll put it below that, which puts
12.
it at number 13 of 17.
As we went through the episodes, that sounds
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah, it was not, in my opinion, it was not a good episode at all.
So we could have...
Wow.
It just felt
a bad
like...
stretch here.
I mean, I just think... Too Short a Season and Angel 1 weren't too bad.
Okay.
And those are recent ones.
Yeah.
Bowel breaks. Okay, we did just watch Too Short a Season. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it's all like the common pizza joke, about there not being bad. It's still just kind of good, no matter what, even the bad ones. So.
Yeah, this one to me felt like original series season 3. Like things were falling apart, didn't make sense. The basic premise of the episode, it felt like somebody's like, okay, I got an idea for an episode. I'm gonna do this thing in terraforming and stuff. And they're like, that sounds great. Go write a script. And they come back with the script, and they're like, okay, but you forgot about this, and this that everybody should already know.
Yeah.
It's too late. We gotta get into production. Let's just go with it.
Yeah, like I said, I liked it for a long. I wish it just stayed a mystery rather than where it went.
Yeah,
I didn't want. The war aspect was not interesting, and.
Oh, well, yeah, by the time I got to that point.
Yeah.
So next week, we're going to watch Coming of Age, where Picard finds himself facing a strenuous test of his loyalty to Starfleet, one in which the other members of the crew are also struggling to cope with, while Wesley faces an equally challenging entrance exam to Starfleet Academy.
Yay.
I don't remember the Picard part of this episode, but I remember the Wesley part, and I remember really liking the Wesley part of this episode.
I like that they just left the working title at the episode as the title of the episode.
I mean,
it's a coming of age story.
Right.
Let's call it. I don't know. Let's put coming of age for right now.
I mean, was Home Soil a great title?
No.
I mean, there was some pun work there. I mean,
it was a stretch.
All I could think of was Home Fry,
home wet sand.
Wet Sand would have been a far superior episode.
The Wet Sand Chronicle. Something.
Or The Devil in the Light. Because it was lights.
Now you got it.
God. Oh, wow. Actually, that's a pretty good one.
Thank you.
I had to think about that for a second. I was like, no, wait a minute. That was actually really clever.
Thank you. I try. So, until then, we're going to come back. We're going to watch Wesley. We're going to watch Picard and see how they do and see if they can come of age in 1988.
We'll be back in 300 years when you are not so arrogant.
Actually, we'll be back in 7 days. Don't listen to Stephen.
We will have completed several lasers by then.
But if we do complete the lasers, then it's quite likely we will not live long
and prosper.
In the wet sand.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?
So 126, that gives him a 4.5 average.
No,
wait,
3.
3.5. 3.5. 3.
Yeah.
Wait.
9, right?
9 divided by 3. You're right, 3.
Yeah.
I am not right now. I'm already on Thanksgiving break. Not this Thanksgiving. It's definitely the middle of winter, like February or something.
Jimmy-Jerome,
right?
come back in 300 years. When you're better at math and less arrogant.
Yeah, no kidding.